SATS Show, your beginner-friendly guide to saving in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down. Panic. Sell everything before it goes to zero. Just kidding. It was a joke. Just kidding. Don't worry. Don't worry. Bitcoin is on sale. What up, Leonard? I'm happy. I'm happy because I'm seeing the price go down, and I think to myself, man, all the people that I felt bad about yesterday for not getting in because the price I felt was never going to be below 29,000. It's at 28,580. It might be an all-time low for the show. So we're going to not only double up, we triple up. Instead of buying $15, we're going to buy $25 worth of Bitcoin today. Maybe even more. Who cares? Might feel crazy today. Okay? Might feel crazy. Look at that. Prices. Let's see where the price is when we get to that segment, okay? But for now, we're going to start the show right by first jumping into SATS strength. This is where we see how many Bitcoin, how many Satoshis, how many fractions of a Bitcoin we can buy for a single dollar. And oh my gosh, it's at 3,500. 3,500 Satoshis for $1. What a deal. Bitcoin is on sale. Buy as much as you can. Go sell some stuff. Buy some Bitcoin. Not financial advice. This is I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. You're responsible for making your own research and doing your due diligence of understanding if this is a good asset for you to invest in or not. Okay? But anyway, let's continue on. Let's say you're walking down the street, minding your own business. You look down and you see a penny, pick it up, and all the day you'll have 35 Satoshis. Dang! For a single penny, 35 Satoshis. What a deal. What a deal. If you're new to the show and haven't given you 1,000 sats yet, make sure you say hello. Make sure you subscribe so you're able to chat. And once you have been subscribed for a single minute, say hello in the chat and say, where's my sats? And I'll send you 1,000 sats live during this stream. If you missed the stream and you're watching a replay, come back during one of our live streams and I'll send you 1,000 sats once you subscribe. We're on here Monday through Friday, 8:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, stacking sats regardless of the price. Regardless of the price. All right, so that was the SAT strength. Let's jump into the why we stack segment of the show. We stack because government money, also known as fiat, it's money that doesn't have any value. It's just a promise of payment. You got to believe in that money. But when you believe in that money, the money printers debase it and steal your wealth via inflation, hidden tax. That's difficult to understand, but is terrible for your savings. If you're a saver, you're getting penalized. They want you to spend all the money you earn as fast as possible so that you don't have a savings and you don't have a say and you don't have long-term plans. They want you to live the YOLO life. They want you to live with a short time preference. The only way to work in that long-term preference is to be able to save in an asset. It's going to actually hold the value that you're putting into it, and that's Bitcoin. When you save in the dollar and they're printing dollars constantly, raising the debt ceiling, spending for Republican things, spending for Democratic things. Doesn't matter who's in office. They're both spending right and left, either by tax cuts for the wealthy and what are they called, entitlements for the poor or whatever. And in the end, that value, that wealth that they're spending is coming out of future generations, coming out of your kids and your kids' kids. Future earnings, future production, right? We're to the point now that the national debt is so high that the interest that we need to pay on the debt is more than our GDP. So let that sit for a little bit. That should tell you that if our GDP is not even enough to pay for the interest on our debt, that's not even, and that's, so that doesn't count the additional things we're adding to the we're paying for during the year or whatever. Doesn't even count that, right? We don't even have enough money to pay for the interest on our debt. Okay, would you lend yourself money if you were in debt? If you were in so much debt that your salary wasn't able to pay for even the interest on your debt? That's how bad it is. Okay, but they don't tell you that stuff. They try to keep that away from you. Okay, so this show, we just want to introduce the idea of a better money system, of an open money system, of a truth-based money system, not a trust-based money system. Okay, you have to trust the dollar, but with the Bitcoin money system, you can trust the truth, right? And why I say the truth is because in Bitcoin, everything is publicly available, right? It's an open ledger. Anybody can go in there and see how many Bitcoin exist, how many Bitcoin are in each wallet, and nobody can make up Bitcoin out of thin air, right? It's a hard asset, right? It's hard money, not like the soft money that the government uses, where they can print it into oblivion and debase your savings. Okay, that's why we stack, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we stack. It's a way for us to defend ourselves from inflation. Okay, the inflation that they tell you is 4%, the CPI that they tell you is 4%, when we know that the cost of gas, the cost of food is way more, it's up way more than 4%, more than 3%, right? I went to the gas station today to get some gas, and yesterday I said the gas was maybe like at $5.20. I was just a wild guess because I wasn't paying attention. Today I made sure I checked. The cheapest gas was, I forget what the octane is, but the cheapest gas was $5.40. $5.40. You telling me that that's only gone up 4% in this year? I doubt it, right? It's just wild. Anyway, that's why we stack. We stack to protect our future saving, to protect the value of our earnings for the future, forever if we need to, right? Into the future, and to build generational wealth for our descendants. Okay, simple as that. Hope that helps. If you have any questions at any point during this show, please ask in the chat. I'm more than happy to take the time to answer your question. We'll wait for Carl to come in. If you're in here, we can go over the halving if you still have questions on that. I realized that we went over the halving not last night, but the night before last. So you might just want to rewatch that episode. Okay. So next order of business is, let's go, Carl. What up? Shout out to Carl. Shout out to Leonard in the house. Welcome, guys. We're going to jump into Stack Recap. This is where we go over what we've done on our show so far. Because in this show, we don't just talk about saving in Bitcoin. We save in Bitcoin. During the show, we buy Bitcoin every episode, Monday through Friday, 8:15 Pacific Standard Time. We spend at a minimum $10 in Bitcoin, regardless of the price. If the price of Bitcoin is below our average buy price, then we spend a little bit more, $15 a day. If it's below our all-time low for the show, which is, I'll show you guys something. Our all-time low for the show, then we're going to buy $25 worth, maybe even more. We'll see. Let's jump into it. There we go. There's our sheet. And yes, it looks like the price of Bitcoin is is it? No. It's almost below our average buy price. Let's look at our real average buy price down here. 28,601 is the actual 28. Yeah, just call it, let's just say it is. Let's say that Bitcoin is below our average buy price. This is the average buy price. It doesn't take into account the different purchase amounts. So our true average buy price is this one, 28,601. Yeah, it was it was towards the end during the Q&A section, Carl. I'll send you a link. But we can cover it here real quick after this. We'll give us something to talk about. Okay, so that's where we're at. Today we're gonna buy $15 worth of Bitcoin. Okay, we're going crazy. $15 worth of Bitcoin because our current average buy price is above the price of Bitcoin. Let's buy it real quick before it changes. Here we go. So that puts us there. Let's get ready to do what we came to do. It's time to stack some SATS. Here on the show, we like to use Swan Bitcoin. Let's learn about Swan Bitcoin by going to stacksatshow.com/Swan. Set up your account. Set it up for auto deposit, auto withdrawal to your hardware wallet. If you sign up to my affiliate link, you'll get $10 worth of free Bitcoin. So it's like doing your first dollar cost average for free. Okay, here we go. Buy now. We're gonna go crazy. Step it up and buy $15 worth of Bitcoin. Let's preview this buy. Take my screenshot, my notes. Do that. Today is episode 52 of the show. Thank you so much for those of you that have been tuning in since the beginning and supporting the show. I appreciate you guys. Leonard, Carl, thanks guys. There we go. A shout out to Lolade, the replay crew. Choo! Lolade started the replay crew, guys. She comments every time the show is over. She's watching the replay. Lolade, thanks for doing that. I appreciate you so much. I hope you're enjoying the show and learning something. If you have any questions for me during this episode, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in the next episode. So we'll do that for the replay crew, okay? Thanks, replay crew. All right. Got the music. Show me the browser. $15 worth of Bitcoin is what we're buying. It's going to cost us 15 cents in fees for a grand total of $15.15. Drum roll, please. And we're stacking. And what will happen? More drums and more drums. Well, that's 3 drum rolls. Dang. It must be busy. Everybody's trying to buy up that cheap SATS. Everybody's out there trying to get their discount SATS. Is it gonna happen? Oh, 4th drum roll. I don't know. I'm kind of like worried now. Oh, what's happening? The drummer is tired, but the SATS have been stacked. And immediately, that wave of calm washes over my brain to know that I've voted with my money to opt out of the fiat system and save some of that value in Bitcoin away from the grasp of inflation. Choo! We're going to go to the browser and update our spreadsheet with some new data. Bought this at 28,678. What? Oh yeah, 28. Oops. We spent $15.15. We got 0.0005239 of Bitcoin, which translates to 1,309 Satoshis. Very nice. Just put a little. There we go. And now we check our stack. That was a good stack right there. That's a good stack. Our Satoshi count is past the 2.25 million Satoshis. Just like that, guys, we're gonna be at 3 million Satoshis soon. And just like that, look at that. Slow and steady, guys. Slow and steady. Our SAT count goes up. Okay. And we're actually at a loss today. Look at that. Minus 0.81%. But who cares? Only thing we care about is that the SAT count goes up. Okay, we're gonna see these fluctuations. We're ready for them. Okay, we see these fluctuations not as a sign of sell your stuff, but as a sign to buy cheaper Bitcoin. And our time preference is for the long term. Okay, so there it is. We've been up and we've been down, but mostly up, and we'll continue to go up. Okay. Worst case scenario, if we had to sell our Bitcoin right now, we'd be out like $6, right? We have a $6 loss, $6 loss, right? But if you had been saving that money in dollars, could you buy the same stuff you could buy before? $500, $600, right? Has the price of things gone up that much in 3 months? Maybe. Okay, cool. That's what we have for the Stack Sats show. We stacked sats. We came, we stacked, we updated our spreadsheet. All right, Carl. Let's talk about this halving situation. Okay, let's talk about this halving. I need to get my browser up. So Carl had a question about the halving. And Carl, before we get there, do you know about this shirt yet? Stack against the machine. Here, exclamation point. Stack against the machine. Bam. Satin. Stack against the machine. All right. That's funny. All right, here we go. We're gonna talk about the halving, okay? And what it is and why it matters and all that good stuff. Let's find that halving chart. There it is. Okay. Turn on the music a little bit. Let's talk about this halving thing. Okay. What is a halving? It sounds like it's part of the Bitcoin code, part of the Bitcoin monetary policy. Here we go. When miners provide processing power to run the Bitcoin network and run your transactions and write the blocks, right? Only one miner out of all the whatever millions of miners that are out there gets to mine the next block every 10 minutes. And as a reward for mining that block every 10 minutes, in other words, to incentivize people to have their miners set up so that the Bitcoin network actually runs. Because remember, the Bitcoin network is decentralized. There's no single bank that's running the Bitcoin network. It's running on a bunch of computers all over the world, right? The biggest computer network with the most hash rate in the history of mankind is the Bitcoin network. The second most strongest computer is the CERN computer, and Bitcoin is 500 times stronger than that, 500 times more processing power than that. Well, in order to incentivize people to put up all that processing power and waste all that electricity, you have to incentivize them with some Bitcoin, right? So the way that it works is when Bitcoin first got started, I think the Bitcoin reward for mining the next block every 10 minutes was 50 Bitcoin, right? And then the first halving happened halvings happen every 4 years. Okay, so the first halving happened or whenever, and that reduced the price. Sorry, that reduced the reward for mining the next block to half. So instead of getting 50 Bitcoin when you mine the next block, you get 25 Bitcoin. Okay, and so then that naturally makes the release of Bitcoin more scarce. Like the release of the Bitcoin gets reduced every 4 years, and that's the halving, right? It's not creating new Bitcoin. It's looking at the Bitcoin that hasn't been released yet, and I'll show you real quick. Right here, the supply is 19 million. It's already out, and there's 1.5 million Bitcoin that have not been released into the supply yet. But these 1.5 million are still part of the 21 million that's a cap for Bitcoin. Okay, this is just the unreleased, unminted money yet. Okay, and the reason that's reserved and released slowly is because you want the miners to have an incentive to run their machines so that they can run the Bitcoin network. And so every 4 years, the supply, the reward for mining the next block goes down in half. So currently, the reward for mining a block of Bitcoin, if you're a miner, is 6.25 Bitcoin. Okay, so it's well over $100,000, right? So it incentivizes people to run the machine so that they can win the reward, but also that makes it to where there's always someone, there's an incentive for people to run the machine so that Bitcoin can actually work, right? So the halving happens every 4 years, and the reward will get cut in half every 4 years until it's down to 1 Satoshi. Okay, I think when it's down to 1 Satoshi, it's going to be the year 2134, I think, if I remember correctly. In 2134, the rewards, it's either 2134 or 4 years after that, the rewards for Bitcoin mining will be 0. And then you might ask yourself, well, what's going to happen when that happens? Is the Bitcoin network going to stop because nobody's willing to run their miners for free? Well, no, because not only does a miner get the reward from the Bitcoin network, but they also get the fees for mining those, for processing those transactions. Okay, so by the time that we get to 2134, the rewards for winning the block will be the fees that people pay in Bitcoin or in SATS to run their transactions. And why does that matter? Because by then, Bitcoin will be worth a lot more, and just collecting fees in SATS will be enough to keep you motivated to continue to run your Bitcoin miners, right? So that's what the point of the halving is. The point of the halving is kind of like to initially incentivize a lot of people to get into the network while Bitcoin wasn't worth that much. Now that Bitcoin is worth a lot more, you basically scale back the issuance, and eventually by 2134, you'll have the last of the Satoshis that are unreleased released to the pool, released to the economy, released to the Bitcoin, I guess, the money supply. And then we'll go into like even more, Bitcoin will be that's when Bitcoin will be at its hardest. Like it's impossible to make any coins after that. It's impossible to have any coins that are not that are coming up, that are new supply, right? The only way at that point to get any Bitcoin is going to be to buy it from somebody else, right? To pay them enough money, to incentivize them enough to sell it to you by paying lots of money, right? So that's where the halving comes in. It's part of the mechanism. It's part of the supply. It's part of the rules of Bitcoin. That also cannot be changed, right? That also cannot be changed, which is, I said it twice because it's an important thing. You can't change the supply amount, and you can't change the rules of the halving. Okay, now why is that important? How does that help Bitcoin itself? What does the halving do to the price, right? So the halving, let me get this browser up. The halving has a way of increasing the value of Bitcoin because it becomes more scarce when you have the amount of supply being released daily. Okay, so right now at 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, we're releasing about 900 Bitcoin every day. Okay, and you guys see the price of Bitcoin, it's been pretty steady at 30,000. We just had a little bit of a dip here, but that means that of the new supply that's being released every day, 900 Bitcoin, the economy or the people that are into Bitcoin were buying those coins, we're accepting those coins into the supply, and they're getting purchased. And it's not like that it's dropping in price a lot. If it was dropping in price a lot, that means that we had like more supply than demand, right? But the demand is keeping up with the supply is keeping up with the demand to the point where Bitcoin it's been stuck at 30,000 for a while, right? Well, when the halving happens, if the demand continues to be the same, where they can absorb 900 Bitcoin every day, but the supply of Bitcoin drops, right? What's going to happen then? If instead of having 900 Bitcoin available per day to absorb that and getting absorbed at 30,000, it goes to like, was it 450? 450 Bitcoin that hasn't been released yet. It's released each day. Well, if people were willing to pay 30,000 a coin for 900 coins a day, and the supply goes down, then people are going to be willing to pay 60,000 a coin, right? If you just go by strict supply and demand, the supply halves, the demand continues high, so then the price must go up. Okay, and that is just a pattern that you've seen during the Bitcoin halvings. So here's what's happened historically with Bitcoin so far, right? The halving happens right here, and about a year later, where is it? Well, the halving happens here, and about a year into the halving, we have this whole year where it just like skyrockets, right? And then it drops back, and then you have this is the bull market, and then it goes back into the bear market when it halves, and then it setting up for the next one, and then when it halves again, it just takes off, boom, right? And it usually gets the peak, usually hits the peak of, and this is not certain, this is just like historically what's happened, it hits the peak of the rise in price a year after the halving. Okay, so we have about 10 months, 10 or 9 months before the next halving happens. So we're like around here somewhere, right? And so if everything holds true and the pattern continues, a year into the next halving, it should be like up here somewhere, which would put us like over close to 100,000, over 100,000, right? And that's important because all we're thinking about here is the halving itself, right? The halving itself exists in a little bubble. It's part of Bitcoin, right? We're not even talking about the added demand from these ETFs if they get approved, right? So on top of that, we're not considering the added demand from people that are discovering Bitcoin and getting into it and starting to understand how good of an asset it is. So at minimum, we're gonna have a good little jump there with the next halving, and maybe even more if all those ETFs get lined up and start scooping up Bitcoin to the point where regular schmoes like us won't be able to afford a whole Bitcoin in those times. So now's the time to make that goal, to get to that whole coin, to be a whole coiner. If you get to a whole coin status, you're set. What up, Captain Dan? No worries. We're just kind of going over the halving again for Carl, but I hope that's good, Carl. Hope you understand that. Hope that was helpful. Thank you for asking the question. It gives me something to cover and focus in on. I hope I explained it with enough detail that you understood it, but not too much detail where it got overwhelming. Okay. I would recommend, like I have recommended in the past, get the book called Inventing Bitcoin. It's an audio book. Maybe it's an audio book. It's maybe like 4 hours long. It's easy, dude. and it's going to walk you through the whole process of how Bitcoin was created and why it was created and why all these different parts of Bitcoin exist and how they play into the whole model, right? And then it'll make sense. It'll make more sense. And it's just with this kind of stuff, guys, there's so many layers of things you need to understand that I don't expect you guys to understand it all in one sitting, right? That's why we do the show and we do a little bit at a time. And when you ask a question, it doesn't only help you, it helps the other guys to hear the explanation, right? So little by little, we're going to build up our Bitcoin knowledge. And if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. Please ask, and that'll let me know where I need to focus. Okay. The other thing that I want to ask you guys, and make sure that you guys are not keeping all of your coins on any exchange. If you guys have been stacking since we started the show, you guys should have a pretty good stack by now. Make sure that you have a setup for cold storage to remove your coins off the exchange. So they're in self-custody. Okay. Carl, if you don't know how to do that, hit me up. I'll walk you through it on your phone. Captain Dan, we talked about a wallet. We talked about a hardware wallet in the past. Let me know when you guys are ready. If you guys have more than $300 in there, like $400, $500 in your Swan Bitcoin account, and it's already cleared, it's ready for you to withdraw it, you guys should get on that. Okay. Because I trust Swan Bitcoin, but you never know, right? If they go out of business, your coins are stuck, your money's stuck there. Okay. So we got to get it out there, put it in self-custody. And one important thing to remember about self-custody, guys, taking your Bitcoin into self-custody does not affect its price variability. Okay. Your Bitcoin is still a Bitcoin. It's still worth a Bitcoin. So when you take it off the exchange, it's not like you're selling it. You're just moving it into your own self-custody. Okay. If the price of Bitcoin goes up, the price of Bitcoin in your self-storage also goes up, right? It's like buying a collector's item or something, right? If having it at the exchange house or having it at your house doesn't change what that thing is. It doesn't change the value of it. So if the value of Bitcoin goes up, just because it's in your wallet, it doesn't mean that your Bitcoin doesn't go up. It also goes up. Okay. So that's been a question I've had in the past where it's hard to understand that concept. But just make sure that you get it off the exchange. It's for your own safety. It's part of good Bitcoin hygiene is to get your stuff off the exchange into self-custody where you know you have control to it. You have access to it 24/7. It doesn't matter if the bank goes out of business. It doesn't matter if the exchange goes out of business. It doesn't matter if anybody wants to take that away from you. It's in self-storage. You can use it. And if that exchange fails and you need to sell some of your Bitcoin for whatever reason, you go into a different exchange and you deposit your Bitcoin and cash it out if you need it, right? I mean, emergencies are emergencies. I wouldn't recommend selling it. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the show. Remember to keep stacking for the future. Stack them SATS. And thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow I don't have that much on Swan yet. I will need that someday. Okay, yeah. Let me know, Carl, when you're ready, and we'll set that up for you. We'll help you set it up. It's just the right way to do it. All right, boys. Have a good night. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for the support. I'll see you guys tomorrow when we continue to stack some SATS. Stay humble. Stack SATS.